do table salt, iron filings, and cake flour all have in common? Well, they are all matter. All material and substances are made up of matter. Matter is made up of molecules, and molecules consist of tiny microscopic particles called atoms, and atoms consist of protons, electrons, and neutrons, and all of those combine in a certain configuration to form an element. Now we have to discuss pure substances and mixtures. A pure substance is anything you see on the periodic table. It only consists of one atom. Their configuration is different, but it's only one atom. And because it's only one atom, it has its own physical properties. And then you get a mixture. A mixture is two or more substances combined. But because we combine those two substances, each substance has its own physical property, which means if we make a mixture, can we unmake it? In this petri dish, I have little stones. In this one, iron filings, little pink pegs, coarse table salt, and cake flour. But now, how do I take this mixture and separate it back into this? Okay, let's make sure you have an exam pad and paper handy so that you can take some notes, because we are going to go through the different methods of physical separation. Let's start with the easy one first, hand sorting. Now, if a mixture is made up of different particles of different sizes and different colors, and it is easy enough to be able to use your hand to pick them out of the mixture. So the physical property that would determine you using hand sorting as a physical method of separation would be its particle size. Right, and the next easy method is using a magnet. Now, if you have a mixture where one of the elements in that mixture has magnetic properties, you can use a magnet to separate it from the rest of the mixture. So its physical property that would determine me using a magnet would be magnetism. Right, my next method of physical separation is sieving. You've all seen a sieve before. It has a very, very fine mesh on it. I can use this to separate mixtures with different particle sizes. So the physical property that would determine me using a sieve would be particle size. Right, filtration. This is used to separate an insoluble substance from a solution, and we use filter paper. When we pour the solution through the filter paper, the liquid will pass through and the insoluble solid will remain behind in the filter paper. So the physical property that would determine me using filtration as a physical method of separation would be particle size. Right, so our next method is evaporation, sometimes also known as crystallization. Now, you learned in grade 6 that certain solids can dissolve in a liquid, and a mixture is called a solution, and the solid that dissolves is the solute, and the liquid is the solvent. Now, through the process of heat and evaporation, you can remove that liquid and retain the solute. Right, so our physical method that would determine us using evaporation is solubility. Right, chromatography. This is an experiment we'll do in class when we get back to school, but you need to understand chromatography. This is getting into forensic science. You are able to split colors. In other words, the pigments that make up colors can be split. So when we do a simple chromatography test, you can take two black pens from different manufacturers, and you'll notice that when you split them through the process of chromatography, that each of those black pens is made up of different pigments. That is forensic science. So the determining factor that would determine whether I use chromatography as a physical method of separation would be solubility. All right, distillation. Distillation is a process using boiling point. Now if I take two liquids, for example water, I know boils at 100 degrees Celsius and ethanol boils at 78 degrees Celsius. If I mix those two substances together, they look identical. However, all I have to do is, through the process of distillation, get my temperature to 78 degrees, my ethanol will then boil and it will go through a whole process, the distillation process, where the ethanol will evaporate first and run down the tube and the water will remain behind. So through the process of distillation, I can separate two liquids. My determining factor in that instance to use that physical method of separation would be its boiling point. Let's do some experiments.